So you know what car would be like the ultimate everyday daily?
What do you think that would be?
That RS6 Avant. I mean, I know it's like 120 grand on a good day, right?
Yeah.
But like it is got to be the sickest daily driver, period.
That I've always said has been like the ultimate dad wagon. I feel like that is like the perfect mix between your performance, got your enough space so that you could have the kids and toss enough in the trunk.
But you don't tell me for 1 second that you can't see Tony Stark's and Iron Man driving that thing.
Yeah, I can. I definitely
That's what I'm saying. What other wagons can you get Tony Stark's to drive in?
There aren't really any wagons that you could, because the U.S. and wagons just don't go hand in hand.
You know what? That's all BS. I'm so tired of that whole thing.
No, you gotta take it from this point of view.
Okay.
I feel that if you look on the road, you drive down the LIE, about 85-90% of those cars are going to be an SUV.
No, 100%. But we screwed that up. Here's the thing. Here's my only take. My take is that I believe that the car companies, the U.S. car companies themselves, killed like good sport wagons, right? Think about it like this. Let me throw my picture out there. Max, this is a good time to put up like a little bubbly dream thing that goes around me. But basically, here's my thing. My thing is that when it comes down to sport wagons, if you want to make a car that has performance-oriented, kind of specs, you can do it on a wagon, really probably without any too much trouble. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the wheelbase maybe a little bit long in some situations. Now, when you try to do that to the SUVs, and it's crazy because when you really think about it, we do this crazy thing in the U.S. where we take SUVs, which arguably shouldn't ever really be performance vehicles. They're just not really cut out to be.
Yeah.
And we make them into performance SUVs. And for some reason, the U.S. has bought into this is the way to go. Now, I believe that this all started from things like, look, X5M. I want one more than anything.
That would be nice. But you want to know what's even more? The X3M. Even the smaller version.
It looks great, but it's small.
Yeah, it is very small. That's definitely not the...
I don't... But for me, like you said, like daily driven, I need something bigger because of the kids.
Of course.
Right? But I don't want to feel like a tool bag when I drive it. I feel like a tool bag in everyday life. I sure as hell don't need to do it because of my car. So the part that gets me though is when you really think about it, what would have been a better performing vehicle? An M5 wagon or an X5M?
M5 wagon.
Well, because it's still a car.
Yeah.
Low center of gravity, the whole thing. Don't get me wrong.
100%.
X5M is a good looking thing, but I'm already been brainwashed by the U.S. powers.
Oh, yes, that is true.
You know what I'm saying?
Because you drive an SUV as well.
I do, but I do drive it as a necessity, not because it's like my love of life, right?
But you could have gone a wagon as well.
But where? Here's what happens. You go to get a wagon, right?
Yeah.
And those wagons that you can get that you would want to drive are way too much money.
You're not wrong there.
No lease deals.
That's for sure.
Right? I don't want to drive a Lancer wagon.
Lancer wagon would be kind of lame.
Yeah.
That would be kind of lame.
Yeah. Listen, you go back in the day, there was a lot of good wagons, especially JDM wagons, that we didn't ever get here, right? Mm-hmm. Like Mitsubishi Legnums and the Nissan Stagias and Evo 9 wagon, right?
The one thing with that Evo 9 wagon, though...
You're going to say the same thing that I'm thinking.
Looked like a Volvo.
Oh, I wasn't going to say that, but...
In the rear, that looked like a Volvo.
The part that... all right. Obviously, I've seen plenty... I was always an Evo 8-9 person, just being in that DSM thing, right? Mm-hmm. And I love Evos and especially like DSM cars, right? But... And yes, I know an Evo's not a DSM, so I don't want to see this crap in the comments.
It's all going to be in the comments.
It's going to be in the comments.
Regardless.
But regardless, my problem is with the Evo 9 wagon, and I've seen more than a few of them, is that I love... It's like the equivalent of a JDM mullet. Party in the front, business in the back.
Business in the back.
I have this thing. It still is a Lancer in the back. I don't care what little spoiler you put on, the taillight, little fins. I get it, but no. That's not a Volvo. But pull up a Lancer. Pull up a Lancer. Pull up a Lancer. Just a 2006 Lancer wagon.
Yeah, no.
Come on, 2006 Lancer wagon. Yeah, all right. I mean, that looks like something you would see the Vatican using to transport the Pope around.
That's a hearse right there.
So I love everything about this.
See, I love everything until it gets to that back door.
But here's the thing. I can even tolerate that view. Because listen, it still has that, on the Evos, how they have that, on the rear quarter, it has that like push out, that body line that runs through the wheel well.
Yeah.
Like that whole thing looks super great. It gives it that appearance of having like a wide quarter. And they do it perfectly on this car as well. But as soon as you get to the rear and I see those taillights and the thing, it almost looks like I'm looking at one of those S10 pickups from back in the day.
With the light going straight down the back of the bumper.
Yes. So here's the thing. If we had that wagon and I wanted to have an Evo 9 and I only could have one car and I had the kids, yes, I would get it. But
that's a bold statement.
Well, there was a lot of buts in there, man.
Oh, there's a lot of buts. But
there was
a
more
bold
buts.
Statement because I'm gonna go real left field on you on this one because everyone knows watching this that I'm going straight for the Euros. And
Ready?
No, bro, I know, right? Shocking.
I thought we were going to get more than
shocking.
10 minutes in before that.
No, just.
All right. So you got.
Personally, for me, I think Audi holds it down with the wagons. There is no ifs, ands, or buts. Even the ones that they brought to the States, you had your S5, B5, your B6, and B7. All S4s came to the States. Mm-hmm. Don't get me wrong; they didn't give us any of the RS4 wagons, which was a different ball game. Because look at that. That's
we had the really early one.
We did have the B5.
Right.
Yeah, there was definitely some around.
Really early one. My whole thing is like, all right, I agree with you that I think Audi makes great wagons. But I'll tell you, like when I was in Germany a few months ago, mm-hmm. and then I hopped over to Sweden and I did some, European gallivanting. Mm-hmm. There was a lot of great wagons that we don't get, right? Of
course, that's always.
And 3-wagon to me is like.
That's probably the holy grail right now. Besides your RS6,
it's pretty dope.
It is.
They're pretty dope.
It is pretty dope. They actually did a really good job with that, and that's coming from. I'm not gonna say I'm a wagon guy. I like wagons. I do appreciate wagons, but I don't think I'd ever own one.
Yeah,
that's probably one of. But it's hot.
I wonder where the line gets drawn between hot hatch, a 4-door hot hatch, and a wagon. Like, where's the line transition? Is it the length?
It's the length. Because if you look at, your RS3 hatch that we never got in the States, which we should have, because that would have probably been my first go-to.
Yeah.
Versus your RS4, the back window is just massive compared to it. You still have your small, little, tiny hot hatch,
When I was in Sweden, there was a car I kept seeing that was, like, I just immediately was super attracted to it. You ever hear it? It's called the Cupra.
No, I personally, it's not ringing a bell in my head.
So Cupra is a company that's made by Seat, which is, again, part of the Volkswagen Audi group.
Community.
But it's called a Cupra Formentor. I may be butchering it, but Formentor V5Z. Now, I can't speak about the brand new ones because obviously we don't get Cupras over here, and I also don't really know a lot about the brand. But what was cool was I saw one that was a couple years old. It's a 5-cylinder turbo, 2.5 liter, that makes 390 horsepower. And I believe it's all-wheel drive.
That's the killer right there.
And it looks great. Max is probably pulling one up. It looks ridiculously good. The car, interior, doubt. It's got interior. It's got those seats. Like, like that RS type seat or the BMW like competition seat type thing. It feels like the seats are really good. On top of that, it also has like brakes that they look like Brembos. They may not be Brembos. You know what I mean? Because they say Cupra on it.
Of course.
But I mean, look at the seats.
The seats are beautiful.
The car, when I looked inside, I was like, this car is really dope. Now,
but I get.
It's not. It looks really high there. In person, it didn't look that high.
I was going to say, because it kind of gives me that Crosstrek vibe right there.
I get where you're going. It did not really feel like that in person.
Okay.
It felt a little bit more in the slightly taller hatch thing. Okay. That's maybe a better picture.
I think it's probably because of that rear window. That's probably what gives it that.
Yeah. It's, it's hard too because you got to remember that like in Europe, they have a lot more wagons, but they're also designed to be driven every day. So some of the ride heights, I think, just inherently are a little bit bigger, higher to, help with like massive snowfalls and different things like that, right? Of
course.
But man, I'll tell you, some of those wagons are dope. I mean, the European wagons that they get over there are spot on. Here's my struggle though. Mm-hmm. My struggle is that as much as I can appreciate a Euro wagon, I still really like the JDM stuff.
You know where I'm gonna go with that.
No, but there was other good Well, I don't want to say good. There was other cool wagons. Well, Mitsubishi. The first thing I think of is that like Legnum. Like it was a Legnum VR4.
So didn't that have like a 1J in there?
No, it's a Mitsubishi.
Oh yeah, you're right.
So it had now I'm trying to remember the engine code. I think it was like a 6A13 TT. So it would have been it's not that so it's a 2.5 liter V6 twin turbo. And so I've heard people say things like, "Oh, it's a 3000 G." They use the engine from 3000 GT VR4, but it's not. I think it's a 6G72 is what they used in the 3000 GT, and then I believe it was. I'm trying to remember now. I believe it was like a 6A13 that they use in the Legnum. But so the Legnum one is a 2.5 liter. And the 3 liter is in the 3000 GT, right? But for a wagon, yeah, it looks like a Galant, right? That's what it is. Mm-hmm. But it was a cool car. Like you could get down with that thing. You know what I mean?
This is true. That is true. I'll give you that.
Yeah. And then they had, let's see what other. How about like even like the Altezza wagons? Like all right. So just to be clear, Toyota made an Altezza wagon in the earlier years, like an our equivalent IS300. Mm-hmm. And they made in the latter versions of that, yeah, I mean, I think that the car looks pretty good, right? Has all of the ability to be the cool JDM-ness that you want. Now, we know that these cars came and especially had an option even in on that side of the world to be able to get the 2JZ GE, so the non-turbo version.
Okay.
But, you could throw a turbo kit on that car without too many issues.
Without issues at all, really.
In the later generation of that car, they also mated it with the ability to get a 6-speed gearbox. So this car, with the help of a turbo kit, especially if you could bring it over here, kind of goes cool pretty quickly.
That is true. All right. Touche. I'll give you that. But I'm still going to say.
Okay, go ahead.
The Euro wagons.
Yeah, go ahead.
The Euro wagons here. I think the biggest issue here in the States is that you either have a wagon that's going to be over $100,000 or it's going to be so basic and boring.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. That's what we've done. Mm-hmm. But I do think that a lot of that has to do with the fact that you have these manufacturers. I think the best example that I think I can think of is actually one I heard on a podcast, years ago. Jason they used to be with Motor Trend. He brought up a good point. He's like, look, when it comes down to Volkswagen, you have the Jetta sport wagon, mm-hmm. right? And then in the same respect, let's say you have a Tiguan, right? And he's like, if you were to look at the lease deals, or if you go try to buy one, the wagon ends up have no incentives and costs a lot more money versus a Tiguan where all the incentives were and whatever. So you're already skewing the opinion. Like if I could save $100-something a month and I get a little SUV that has a little turbocharged engine or whatever it is, where's my and potentially is a third row. I remember this specifically because I remember thinking oh, he's right. The manufacturer just told you not to buy the wagon.
This is true.
Right? So I don't know. I think it's us. I just think it's
But I also think that's just because of everybody wanting an SUV, and they're going to, mass produce SUVs. They probably have a ton of Tiguans sitting on the lot versus your Jetta sport wagon.
So you being a Volkswagen guy, mm-hmm. Are you in if you have to make a choice, let's use that same example. Mm-hmm. You can do the Jetta sport wagon, or you can do a Tiguan.
I'd probably take the Tiguan.
Okay. So you're reaffirming now the message that's been instilled upon you.
100%.
So
but I also said...
You would say you're the loser that killed sport wagons. No.
Not even. But yeah, look. Oh, see, Europe gets the Golf R wagon. Like,
yeah.
See, if they had something like that in here, around here, like that would be I'd take that over a Tiguan R line or anything along those lines. Tiguan R that they have over there as well.
Okay, let's go. Let's switch it up again. As long as we're playing hypothetical
situations. Okay, let's play some hypotheticals.
Yeah. All right. So let's go back in time a little bit because I want to be able to cherry pick my stuff here. Let's go original Tiguan, the small one, the one that was basically like a GTI with like a lift kit.
Yep.
All right. So you could choose that, or you can choose like, I don't know, a Bug-Eye WRX. Bug-Eye Wagon WRX.
I'd probably take the Bug-Eye Wagon WRX.
Of course you would, because it's freaking cool.
Because but that's cool though. Versus
right.
It gives you that.
That's how I feel when I look at a lot of this crap. Right? Like the thing is small, whatever. So there's that, right? So right. I agree with you. You take the Bug-Eye. Well, there was more. Like they had the Crown. Toyota had a Crown wagon that was really cool over there that we didn't get, and I believe the Crown wagon came with the 1JZ.
That's what came with the 1JZ. That's what I was
Crown wagon. Yeah. Now I don't believe that they ever made it. This might be crossing my Japanese threshold here, but like the not the Crown, the Chaser Tourer type platform. I thought that they actually had a wagon version of that, but I think I'm wrong. I don't think that they did. But that would be another platform that I think would have been sick
as a wagon. The Chaser, 100%.
Do you know the Nissan Stagea?
Not really.
So the Stagea was a cool thing. It was built on what they call the WC34 platform. So, and there was earlier ones. So I'm just talking about the later model that would be like on equivalent to like the R34 type years. Okay. And I think there it is. Max pulled it up. I think the wagon is incredibly cool. Now, here's what I think that's different about this wagon versus maybe going back to an Evo wagon, right? Because I have to defend my thoughts here.
You're going to defend them.
Is that and this is a little bit earlier even than there's just some later model ones. But what I like about this is this looks like it was meant to be a wagon.
As like originally designed only as a wagon.
And I don't know if it's just because of the front ends that my brain is thinking like when I look at an Evo 9. All right, so this is a good example. This car is dope. I've seen this car in person. This car is great. This is a 260 RS, and it's a Stagea or whatever. This car, maybe I didn't see this car. No, I think I did. I'm not sure if there's a car that's exactly like that I've seen at Lime Rock a few years ago, and I thought the car was incredible. Anyhow, bottom line is, a lot of these guys do the R34 front end conversions.
Okay.
You'll even see them sometimes with Z2 fenders.
I've seen
a
bunch of those, yeah.
I like it. That's where I start to feel more like the Evo 9 wagon, where I go, party in the front, business in the back, right? I struggle a little bit with this because I feel like somebody cut the car down the middle and made two cars. Like took two cars and made them together. Now, I'm not saying that doesn't look dope. I do think it looks dope, and I think it's cool. And yes, I would own it, and I would rock it in a heartbeat. And if you have a 260 RS Stagea that you want to sell to me for a reasonable price,
Scott's willing to buy it.
I'm willing to buy now. But I still have trouble with those cars because when I look at them from the front, I feel like I'm looking at R34. And then I get to the back and I feel a little underwhelmed, right? So I struggle a little bit there, but I don't know. I'm a big fan of the JDM wagons, not because it's because those cars had all the performance in most cases. And I mean, you could talk about sleepers, right? I've heard that come up so much. But there is this thing. Remember that Stagea could come with the same all-wheel drive. I don't want to say the same, but it comes with an all-wheel drive, RB26 powered platform. I mean, it's as close as the damn thing as you could get to a GTR without it being a GTR. Now,
it's a valid point,
and I think that you know what I wish I would have thought of. I wonder where the price tag was on those cars, like new. Like I wonder what the R34 Max. Can you see? See, like that's it looks so good, sick. But like.
It's just so I hear you out over here. It's
like it looks good, but like I
feel like the front is still even wider than the rear. I know it's
they did a good job. Like
angle, but
the car looks really good. But like I'm really, oh man, I don't know. That's a tough one.
That is a tough one.
Don't you feel like you're looking at somebody that they dissected two cars.
I could definitely see you driving that 100%.
Yeah, that one's kind of dope. Yeah, that one's kind of dope. But it's two different cars.
Do you still want an MR2 or do you?
I want all the cars. The question is, listen, if you have something Japanese and cool, just hit me up.
Just hit us up.
Just hit me up.
Slide right into the messages.
Just be gentle on the price tag because I got kids and stuff, and like it's hard. It's hard being one of these New York guys out here living and trying to live the dream.
That's another one that we actually just slept on, the Volvo wagons.
All right.
I feel like they're doing it right too. They still keep cool wagons in the States.
So I think Volvo has a pretty good idea of how to make a nice looking wagon. I struggle with them being like performance sports cars.
I'll give you that.
This one that's done is clearly modified,
of course.
And it looks very good.
It looks amazing.
But I don't think of them the same way as my JDM, like
this is true,
stripped out stuff. So I don't know, but I don't know. Like in Europe, the wagons were pretty dope. The wagons were pretty dope. They get a lot of stuff that we just not only don't get, but you know what somebody told me when I was over there. I said, there's just something about your wagons that looks way more aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
And the comment that they made back to me was it has to do with the windshield. And I didn't really understand what they meant, but they said, but basically, like, they're saying, like, hey, like, in the U.S., you guys use the windshield as a structural piece to do, like, testing, and they use it for airbag deflection and a bunch of different things. He said that over there, they don't test the wagon or test the cars with the windshield being a factor, I guess. So they're saying that like they're able to lay down some of the A-pillars a little bit more. They're able to have flatter windshields, not as much curvature. And they're saying that whole thing allows the wagons just to have a little bit of a different look.
That changes the body lines a little bit more than we would think.
I think it changes the body lines a lot. It's like you're cruising down the street and you see a wagon, and you're like, oh, I kind of know what the car that is, and then you're like, like something different about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like that. But yeah, I don't know. I would say it's one of those things. What would you say? Are you if you let's say things are created equal, do you take a wagon or do you take an SUV?
Created equal as in how? As far as like performance wise?
All right. Yeah, let's do that.
Probably take a wagon.
You would?
Yeah.
Interesting. That's interesting.
Like if they gave us the RS4 wagon over here, I'd be pushing for that.
I don't know what else can we equate that to though.
Well, there's another car that we never got over here that was actually a pretty sick wagon was the C63. Like yeah, we got the E63, but again, it goes into that over $100K budget.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, but
and another thing is too when you look at
an E63 is already an AMG car, so if you buy the sedan version, you're getting up there too.
100%, yeah. But I was more talking specifically on like wagons.
Mm-hmm.
But also whenever you and I hate to keep going back to Audi on this one, but like look I know
you love every minute.
I love everything about it.
It's crazy.
But like, dude, when you stand next to that RS6 Avant, it's massive.
I have nothing bad to say about that car.
There's not one thing bad to say about it, but like for a wagon, like the reason why you want to buy a wagon is because you don't want a big bulky SUV. Am I right? When you get into that RS6, it's big. It's a boat. It's massive. Which again, what a wagon is supposed to be. But when you compare size wise to like say your RS4, I feel the RS4 gave you the perfect amount of extra space without overkilling it.
All right, but I've seen the RS6 Avant in person, and
so I will tell you, I've sat in them.
I will tell you that there's not a bad line on that car.
Definitely not one bit.
That car flows effortlessly.
100%.
And it's got all the power to back it up.
100%.
And it sounds like a bat out of hell.
Oh, you're definitely not wrong.
Like, there's not an angle on that car that I can't, like...
There's not one bad angle on that
want to hug.
No. I totally agree. But it's big.
Yeah, but like...
It's massive. That's a big...
But,
oh, look at that B5 right there in the back.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I want.
But here's the thing. You know how there's some cars that when you see them on the road, they just command, like, presence?
Yeah, and that's that.
That's one of them.
100%.
That's one of them. I don't care in what arena. Oh, we should get one of those for SEMA. Sorry, I was just thinking, like, that would be a badass SEMA car.
That would.
Maybe a little off-brand for us, but pretty dope.
We'll see.
We should have a... So when I was at Grid Life, whatever, and they did the concourse, they do that Circuit Legends concourse there where they, and like, it's like you see some of these wagons that you're just like, this is crazy. This is what we needed. And so I feel like we should do like our own JDM wagon concourse, like in our SEMA booth.
In the SEMA booth, just with all different.
just a round of all the cool like JDM.
We just don't even display wheels. We just display the wagons with all of our different wheels on it.
Don't put stuff like that on the screen. You're gonna make everybody throw up if they've had lunch.
Ugh.
No, that's crazy.
That's unnecessary.
I know what they're talking about. They were talking about that being like an actual thing, but
yeah, no,
put that right up there with the Mach-E for me.
The Mach-E, you say?
One of the guys who got that, one of the sales guys just got one of those. Loves it.
See, but
he loves it.
I'm happy he got that versus the Tesla, if you really want to be honest.
That's a whole other conversation.
That's
for
another
one
for another podcast.
So before we get out of here, this is my question to everybody out there. You know, are you a SUV or given the same type of power and performance? Do you choose a sport wagon or, you know, one of these cool wagons? What is your favorite JDM type wagon? And for doubt, what's your favorite
Euro?
What's your favorite Euro type wagon? And you know, which ones do we need here in the States? Wait, one more that I saw on the interwebs, and I think it looks super sick. And I know that this is really out there for me.
Real left field. Let's hear it.
The Genesis G70 wagon. Did you see it?
I did see it. And you want to know something?
Ridiculous.
I hate to... not that I hate to say this, but like it's something I thought I would never say. Anytime I do see any Genesis down the road, driving down the road...
Like a newer Genesis.
Yeah. I always go... They really did a good job with it. But I saw this thing.
The G70 wagon, the Genesis G70 wagon, like that car, I don't care what you say, is super dope.
That thing's badass.
Yeah, that car is dope.
It's tough to call a wagon badass. Like, you know, basic, you know, going into when wagons first became a thing, like, you know.
And I'm not like a Genesis guy. Like, I don't want that.
Not at all.
But wagon.
I never own it.
And I know, like,
it's not my style.
That wagon is a good looking wagon.
No, they did a good job with that. And again, I've been saying it ever since the newer Genesis started. I started seeing a lot more of them on the road.
Yeah.
I think they're doing a good job over there.
Yeah, for sure. So anyhow, let's go back to it. What is your favorite wagon? What is the wagon that you need to have, or that nobody brought in? Where's the love?
We didn't speak about.
Or we didn't speak about. Yeah. Throw them all in. Basically, if you have a comment about anything we said today, it's time to throw it in.
It's time to throw it in right down below.
Anyhow, that's it. You have anything else you want to talk to the peoples with?
No.
Are you good?
I'm good.
That's it. We're out of here. Catch you next Wednesday.
Peace.